In HeavyBid, you can put materials inside of a crew. Now, usually material is outside of a cruise. Let's look at, for instance, a 36-inch RCP. I actually purchased the material, my aggregate, and my actual pipe. It does not reside inside the crew. It is outside the crew, so these quantities are independent. And this is typically how you set up materials, both permanent and construction. However, you can have construction materials. Let's say you have a pipe welding crew. You might have your rod and some of the supplies follow the crew, maybe on a crew hour basis or a quantity basis. And I'm going to show you those options. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a crew and put in an outside haul inside of a crew. But the first step that you're going to have to do to activate this option is go to Tools and Preferences. When you pull that up, you have to go to System Preferences and Miscellaneous. Now, if you're on a multi-user system, you're going to be doing this for all of the users. And it's not going to modify any of the estimates, but it is going to activate this option inside of everybody's system. So be aware of that. Now, what you want to do is check off this box, Allow Materials in Crews. It comes default unchecked. And when you go OK, there will be a pop-up saying that you'll have to exit HeavyBid and then restart it to activate this. Now, when I come into the crew setup, I can now come into the Resource tab and I will see both my system-wide and my local materials here. So I'm going to come down and actually put in I have set up a outside trucking haul by the hour. And I'm going to set this up for maybe 3 trucks. But I can modify this later, and I'm going to show you that. Now, you get this option where you either do units per crew hour or units per activity quantity. And what this means is these trucks are going to have to follow one of the two, either the activity quantity or the number of crew hours. And I'm going to have a multiplier, which is the number of trucks, which will multiply by my crew hour. So that's the option I want in this case. Now I can come over here and actually modify this again. I can put in a number of trucks. Maybe as a default I'll set it up for 2 instead of 3. And now I have that material inside of a crew. Now you're not going to see the factor is not going to follow this pieces here, but you'll be able to see this in the modify crew more clearly. Now when I save this, it will actually go out and modify this crew in the estimate. So I'm going to go to bid item 50 here and come up to the activity where I have the crew. So here it is. Here's my outside haul, $90 an hour, 2 of them. So it takes 2 times 94.5 because it's operating off of my crew hours. Now if I go to modify crew, you'll see this more clearly because now I have a material tab. I didn't have this before activating this material in a crew. So when I click on that, I can see my actual factor. Here I can apply 3 trucks. You notice there's my factor type. I could even change it here. And if I go down to another activity, I can then modify the number of trucks easily per activity. So here I'm going to go in and put in customize this. Now this tab will be available for any of my modify crews. Now if you notice I come to modify crew, it is there all the time. So I can come in and on the fly I can add a material. So the steps are to activate the option in Tools Preferences and then either go into the crew setup or go into the modify crew and add the materials with the correct factor so that you can have materials reside inside an estimate.